Hi, everyone. Welcome to a very special edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. I'm once again pleased, honored to have the opportunity to chat with a creative duo currently in the midst of their third full-length Dracula collaboration, and that is author Matt Wagner and artist Kelly Jones, or going alphabetically, artist Kelly
Yep.
Jones, author Matt Wagner. So glad to be talking with the two of you here just a few weeks short of Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is good.
Halloween's October's our season. We
It
every one
is.
of the Kickstarter campaigns we've done have claimed Halloween as our own.
Yes.
Of course, the two of you have done a few of these now. You've chatted about the book a few times, I think.
Yep, this is book 3. So,
Hmm.
Yes, yes. So you've led us into the world of Dracula. You've given us the backstory of the brides. We now have the Count. What is the ground that you're breaking as you continue to explore this character?
well, I keep saying to people that in some ways this is the one we've been aiming for the whole time because this is the one that takes place in conjunction with the novel itself. Anyone
Mhm,
who's read the
mhm.
novel knows that from a modern perspective, one of the frustrating aspects is that once the action shifts from the castle in Transylvania to the foggy streets of Victorian London, Dracula's pretty much off stage for the entire rest of the book.
Mhm,
The
mhm.
heroes keep tracking him, and they get certain second and third hand accounts of people that interacted with him. Um, but he's gone. And from a Victorian novelist standpoint, that really works because it creates this intimacy with the heroes and it makes him this shadowy, sinister other presence. But for a modern monster fan standpoint, we want to see Dracula. We want to see what the hell he's
Right.
doing. So he's definitely doing something the whole time he's there. And so this is me and Cal unveiling this side of the story for the first time. So, like I said, it takes place in conjunction with the novel itself, but is not a straight up adaptation of that story.
Yeah, the absence of the character gives you some nice fertile ground.
Lots of practical aspects. For instance, Carfax. Most people know the name Carfax, which is the estate he buys in London. That's why Jonathan Harker goes to Transylvania to conduct that transaction. Uh, Carfax is located in a neighborhood called Purfleet, which is 18 miles east of central London. So, just from a sheer practical standpoint, how's he get to and from? You know,
Hmm, hmm.
Another aspect that most people aren't aware of is that yes, Carfax, which let me interject, Carfax is not an abbey. It gets called Carfax Abbey all the time. That's conflating it with Whitby Abbey, which is a ruined abbey in Whitby, which is the town where the Demeter crashes on the coast.
Hmm.
Carfax is a hundreds-year-old dilapidated estate. It has a chapel and it has a cemetery on the grounds, but it is not an abbey, a former abbey. Anyway, everybody knows Carfax, and that's where he has his 50 precious crates of Transylvanian soil transported to. But over the course of the novel, he purchases other properties and he distributes his crates of earth around. So he has other spots, other safe havens, other places to go to. And again, that's something that most people don't know and is never really explored very much in any of the adaptations. But that's just one more of the practical aspects that we show him dealing with. He's a stranger in a strange land. This is all of a sudden he's in one of the biggest metropolises in the world at that point, and he had spent 400 years in an isolated castle in the Carpathian Mountains. So
Hmm.
there's a whole different way of behaving and acting that he has to kind of get used to.
Yeah, I am now going to just jump back and say the fertile ground of storytelling. We literally have 50
Yeah,
boxes of
50
fertile
crates of earth.
ground.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so that works well. So I also imagine this gave you the chance to sort of explore some of the character, get in his mind, and think, well, what would a murderous, fiendish count be doing, and how would he adapt himself to this new world and environment?
Yeah, because one thing he is, as you said, murderous and scheming, but he's also cautious. He's a
Hmm.
tactician from his many years as a military leader, and then hundreds of years as a vampire. And vampires have to be cautious of many things, you know. So it's not like he gets in and just starts painting a bloodbath across the streets of London. He's tactical in his approach, you know.
Yeah. With that tactic in mind, as we're talking about Carfax Estate and the images of this time, this one goes over to Kelly. Any particular reference points that you were looking at there as you were bringing this world to visual life?
Uh, Primarily just Matt's script.
Yeah.
Matt was creating a new thing with a character we all knew, and its charm was he was creating a new thing with something we all knew. So you have to follow that lead. And one of the things, if it's daunting when you or unbelievable when you hear that, how can you not? It isn't when you read a script before anything else is done. And I would read a script, and it was uh, so exciting that it started to visualize. And the way he would just was describing Dracula was as a man and
Mhm.
not some fiend. To me, uh, he does these awful things, but he doesn't think he's evil. He's got his agenda. He's doing his thing. Other people do these things. I mean, he grew up and was dominant 400 years earlier. Well, what made him stand out? You know, there's a lot of that stuff going on. So he doesn't see himself. To me, I always see him as this guy who knows what he's doing. Get out of my way. And what Matt added to it is you can't trust him. Even the people close to him can't trust him, though they don't know that, which is a
Yeah.
great shock to me. So I knew it would be a shock to other people. But he would always justify it. And I think he went from this uh, warrior narcissist to Matt added, I think, a great tinge of maliciousness in the third one, where there's just malice in some of what he does. That was a new thing. Other ones I could see what he was doing, why he was doing it, but there's a nice touch of malice in the third one that uh, goes along with him being all the other awful things, and that helps add to it. I mean, those things are the inspiration. Um,
Yeah, because let's face it, he
London,
was bloodthirsty before he was drinking blood.
yeah, I mean,
True, true.
and I think that the thing that Matt did that was very inspiring to me is he's not an anti-hero, though you find yourself being seduced by him, which is what a vampire does.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
and then he'll do a thing. I think Matt described him to me on the phone once. He says, "Well, think Tony Soprano. You begin to like him, and then he does this awful thing.
Hmm.
And would you want to live next door to Tony Soprano? Really? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want him in your neighborhood. You would actually want Tony Soprano removed from the world."
Hmm.
And that really helped me too because I like Tony Soprano, and that did work on me when and then he'd do something awful, and you go, you can't be around this.
Yeah,
And
another touch point, of course, is Hannibal Lecter, who,
yeah, and
is
True.
so charming, and yet
yeah,
you want him in that cage the
yeah,
whole time, you
yeah.
know?
Yes.
And you wonder why didn't they execute him, right? So
Mhm.
uh, that really helped. And when you have that much to in a script, really just finding some of the few reference points he wanted or whatever, the rest was just imagination.
Yeah, and another neat thing here, you were talking about the visualization there, and I mentioned that his previous 400 years were spent in an isolated castle in the Highlands in Transylvania.
Hmm.
Now all of a sudden he's in this metropolitan setting, with buildings everywhere and cobblestone streets, etc. And so Kelly all of a sudden has a whole different arena of
Yeah.
things to draw, and needless to say, he's doing it impeccably. It looks amazing.
I
Oh,
appreciate
yes,
that.
I'm sure.
What
Yeah.
it does for me is a different venue does and it changed, and the pacing has always been there. So, but Matt did a thing where he does the more modern life pacing that rather than the as he did in the earlier ones, he was living in his time as people lived. Then you get to London that now has telegraphs and uh, ships that don't need wind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a much faster world, and he loves it. This is exciting for him. So he's Matt also said an interesting thing where he says, he has to be invited in, but there's doormen everywhere. Hey, come on in, or here's a plate, buy a ticket, come on in. So he can go virtually everywhere he wants to go.
Due
No
to
one,
due to manners.
yeah, just simply being polite to him. But no one thinks this is this corrupting, predatory
Because the
influence.
other thing about London and that society is its rationality. Of
Yeah,
course, they don't bear these superstitions that all the peasants in Romania have,
no,
and so they are far more accepting and far more inviting. Um, uh, as Kelly said, yeah, he has to be invited in over thresholds, and there's millions of those in London, but
yeah,
he finds a way.
yeah. And that was
Yeah.
interesting. And so when I find that, I mean, how does that translate? I mean, to me, saying that, you go, well, okay, but the drawing, well, it changes things because now you're seeing, though he's cautious, he's very open. He's out in the daytime. He's out doing things, going to plays. He's, and but the whole time, because now Matt has established who he is, you're going, who's going to get it next?
Hmm.
What's this mean? How is he going to utilize this? And the payoffs are wonderful. I mean, that's exciting to draw. That's
Yeah, Kelly
very
Kelly
exciting.
mentioned something there that I bet a lot of people don't know from that haven't aren't super familiar with the book or more familiar with the movie versions, is that sunlight doesn't kill Dracula. He can
No.
walk around in the daytime. He's just not powerful like he is at night. At night he has his full vampiric powers, but in the daytime, he's more akin to a regular man. Of course, he's not quite a regular man,
No,
but
and it works. It works surprisingly well. In fact, I just had sent Matt some stuff where it's in daytime now that it's in the inks, and it works. I mean, you wonder before you get there because all the movies he's in the dark or and no, it's quite upsetting to
I don't know
see.
how well people remember the Francis Ford Coppola adaptation,
Oh.
which has got many, many, many problems. But one of the things they get right is this aspect. I don't know if anybody remembers when Gary Oldman as Dracula first meets Winona Ryder as Mina. At that point, she's Mina Murray. She's not married yet. It's on the street in broad daylight.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, with the top hat on.
Yep.
yeah,
Hmm.
there's a nice touch. Matt does that, and I mean, that actually was done very well by a fairly obscure but excellent Hammer film called Kiss of the Vampire, where the vampires are out in the day, but it's a cloudy day. It's a very
Hmm. Hmm.
overcast day. And
Mm.
when one of them says to another, they could see the storm was breaking up, and they had to get back. And I always thought, why didn't they should have done that more? And so Matt was I like that Matt went to that because in comics I haven't seen that. He's
Hmm.
always has to be in the dark in his coffin, waiting until the sun goes down. And I
Yeah,
thought
and
that,
and where it comes from in the Dracula legend is in fact Nosferatu, the very first
yeah.
unauthorized adaptation. At the end, the woman sacrifices herself to keep him till daybreak, and he fades away with the
Well,
sun.
it
And that's
gives me
just that's from like Germanic legends. Trolls are turned into stone at the sun, but again, not in the traditional legends.
it sure makes for again, it changes things to where it gives me more latitude
Hmm.
because Matt has daytime scenes, so I can do different things. Um, there's some scenes in there that take place purely in the day, and they're
There's still plenty of
great.
nighttime stuff, everybody.
Oh, there's
Oh, I'm
yeah. I
sure.
mean,
Yes.
that's the fun, but it's wonderful stuff, and it gives. I mean, I think on a practical side, just a comic book side, it gives a great range for our colorists to work with too.
Mhm.
So you'll get so it will differentiate from the earlier books. Um, the first
There's a few
one,
scenes in daylight in the earlier books.
yeah, but
In
I
book
mean,
in book two particularly, yeah.
yeah, but in those, uh, he's to me, we're still focused on him in that world, and it does change. First one, he's human for most of it. Next one, he's a vampire. This one, he's able to utilize all of these things, all of this experience. He knows who he is now, and he now
Mhm.
knows his destiny in his head. He's working that out. That's great progression, and it does affect how I draw him.
The book also has a lot of uh, convenient novelistic conveniences, like a whole lot. So much so that I have him address it a couple times. So, like for instance, Jonathan Harker makes this trip all the way to Transylvania, uh, and then when Dracula comes to England, the ship he's on crashes against the coast in Whitby, and the first person he meets and preys upon just happens to be the best friend of the girlfriend of Jonathan Harker. and
Mhm. Mhm.
and uh, and then the house he buys just happens to be across the street from a sanitarium with owned by a doctor who's in love with the woman that was the first woman he preyed on. Just a lot of Victorian coincidences.
Well, that
So
was
many tangles.
clearly his influence from Dickens, who had coincidence after coincidence
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
way
yeah. Again,
through.
like I
Mhm.
said, it's a Victorian trope.
Yeah, so everyone kind of like went, okay, fine. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
but Dickens as Stoker was a page turner, so you accepted it.
Yeah.
You don't. It was like, fine. I just give me the next chapter. You know.
Mhm. And Dickens also had like the grand story, writing by the page, and doing all of those things. Uh, as the two of you have worked on this grand and long range story, how has your process changed, and how has your appreciation with each other changed?
I don't think the process has changed much at all. We're
No.
still pretty much pedaling along at the same in the same manner as we were from the very beginning. But Kelly and I have known each other for decades, and we had
Hmm.
always kind of wanted to work together and on uh, something epic, something big. And at the same time, we were kind of getting, I've done a lot of indie work. Kelly's worked kind of more for the mainstream guys. We definitely didn't want to do a work for hire situation.
No.
Do a
Hmm.
big Batman run or anything like that. We wanted to make our mark and make it ours. And
Hmm.
Yeah, and for me, it was hand in glove. I didn't have to get used to anything Matt was doing. It just everything made sense. Everything that I would need or felt I would need, he already gave. And the best part were the scripts were so good and have been so good. That's it. If I can get that and I'm just let to run wild, I can do it. I haven't gotten scripts like this. I have gotten great scripts before, but I haven't gotten anything on this epic level that also has the smallness to it, the little things, um, which become sometimes greater than the sum of the parts. Is
those
this?
are often the most memorable things.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so I have all these little things where I can do all my acting and yet still tell this grand story. Um, uh, I work feverishly on it because I physically want all four of these volumes in my hands. I have yet to be disappointed with anything in the first, particularly in the first two, looking at them finished. It's the first time in my career I have had not winced at anything. I just went through and go, yep, that's what I wanted. That's been accomplished. I think a lot of that is due to Matt is very good at outstanding writer artist in each. If he just did one or the other, he would stand out. But he's a great editor. And
I was telling somebody the other day, Kelly and I are both, again, decades into our career, we're so used to getting our books coming to the house.
yeah,
And we get a little jaded about it, but these come in and whoa,
yeah,
we just start ripping them
yeah.
open right
I will
away.
say, I'll get something,
Let me
and
see.
in a few days, I used to get around to it. I'll look at it, and because I didn't want to be loud, that'll knock me down, or I'll be disappointed. These I do in the foyer. I open them when I know they're coming. I open it and I sit down and just start looking at it. I don't want to, and that is a great pleasure. I mean, um, but like I said, Matt designs these things beautifully. He does all this stuff that frankly each one of these individual things would be a trade unto themselves. So to be able to do it all makes it a lot easier on me because I'm fairly lazy. Matt's not, and Matt.
I don't get that looking at your art, pal.
Well,
Not at all.
because
Not at all.
because that's the one place where I can just let it go. Right? I'm enjoying myself. I'm not bored. So I can do that and go into that trance-like state and just do it. But I am uh, I'm a lazy person by nature. John Lennon level lazy. You
Yeah,
know, I
yeah.
uh, the doing of something is fine, but the getting up to go do it is where I need therapy. Is like, how do I
Mm.
get to that point? That's why I only work in my studio. So when I go in there, it's no dicking around. And with Matt,
Mhm.
what Matt's done has been exciting to me. I mean, I read it and I go, uh, career wise, uh, he's right. We've done a lot and we've been involved in a lot of, I think, pretty fabulous stuff. And it's lasted the years. On the side of it, to be excited like this and want to prove something and want to see it personally is like
Mhm.
I'm, 18 again.
Yeah, I'm never not working. I'm
Yeah,
constantly like I
I
told
get,
Kelly
I
the other
get,
night I couldn't sleep in the middle of the night and I whipped out my laptop and I wrote the first 5 pages of book four
I
at
never know
like
when I'm going to get an
2:30
email
in the
from
morning,
Matt. I never know when I'm going to get a text or an email from Matt. It can be at any time, anywhere, with a flash of something, and uh, and that I do like because I know he's always on it. So that does motivate me to go. All right, um, if Matt's going to do this, Matt doesn't like sports, but it's like Matt is a quarterback and he draws up the plays and he plans the schedule and he does all this stuff. And all I got to do is catch the damn ball. I'll do it, you know?
and then run
So,
with it and you
and then
you
run
score the
and then
touchdowns,
run.
dude.
So I sit there and I realize that I'm very fortunate in a lot of ways. And one of them is uh, that you have a friend who actually is incredibly talented. And I thought that many, many years ago when I met him. That's why I wanted to meet him. And then you realize he doesn't give an inch on anything. I mean, you either care or you don't, and Matt cares. Met a lot of people who yeah, they'll cut corners, they'll just fudge, they'll whatever. But Matt is the old Kubrick thing. You either care or you don't, and that is daunting for a lot of people. But for me, I'm like going, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And being
because for me it's all about story. Everything's story.
it
Like
is. Yep.
like on and I'm constantly tweaking stuff that just could be a little bit better. Like in book two, there's a scene where uh, Dracula's first bride, she's a little wanton and he needs to control her, so he locks her in a room in the castle, and we show him carving a magic sigil on that with his talon on the door, and to trap her in there. And we were just getting ready to go to press, and I noticed oh wait, that needs to be like glowing. That needs to be a color, that
Yeah.
to just more accent that it's a magic thing he's doing there. So I contacted Jose, our colorist, and I said, "Dude, I hate to do this to you, but can you do this tweak on this one page, And so it's just always like how can the story be more complete,
Well,
more
Matt leaves.
cohesive?
Matt does a thing, and again, I keep saying Kubrick. There's no when you
Mhm.
go, there's no loose ends,
Mhm.
and everything fits. So when you reread it, you catch things, and that happened to me. While I read the scripts, like, and I'm not joking, about 7 or 8 times before I started. I just kept. I enjoyed it, but I wanted to soak it in. I wanted no other influences. But when I'm working, then things start popping up, and they pop up because Matt had. I'm now seeing all that. There's no cracks in this, so you have to live up to it, and you want to uh, make sure everyone gets it. Because on one of my favorite things as a reader is when I go back and read, it, I go, "Oh, I did, yeah, now okay, I get that. I didn't see, or it means something more." That's a great thing. I always tell. I used to describe Matt as literary pulp. That it's
You still
literary.
do describe me that way,
Yeah, I do. But it's
which I
like
take great joy in. Believe me.
no, it's Shakespeare by way of Roger Corman. So it's wonderful, but it's clearly in The Brides, it's pretty good when it comes to the exploitive elements, and that makes it interesting. That makes it exciting. It makes it Matt does this thing too that I agree with that. hey, damn it, we're doing comics. So let's do comics. We're not doing movies. We're not doing shows. We're
Hmm.
not doing other things. This is a wonderful, eccentric thing we do. So let's do
Hmm.
that. And you serve the need for something more meaty and literary, and that 14-year-old who wants to see it. So, and if you do that, you do get, I do think it's not wrong to equate it to something like Shakespeare, who gave you this great stuff, but stabbed and had rape and had murder and mayhem and all that stuff. But he also had a higher ideals going on, and Matt
Yeah,
does
yeah,
that.
because Shakespeare was definitely populist in his
Oh
time,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Hmm.
That's all that's why I still like Shakespeare.
Yep.
I still enjoy uh in fact, I just got this great thing on the old BBC did in the 70s and early 80s. They did all the plays for television, and they're varying levels of uh what you get out of it, but they're all excellent because they got great actors to do it. So
Hmm.
some have good sets, some have crap sets. It doesn't matter, but they all serve that thing. And so when I was doing this, I kept thinking, Matt is giving some terrific themes in this, and he's doing some really good pointed uh comments, but
Hmm.
none of it's modern. It's of his time, and it's unbiased, which is wonderful.
Yeah,
And
one of the points where we really struck that was in book two, The Brides. In no way is his relationship with those three women equitable by a modern standard at all, and that's just the way he is. He's not equitable with anybody. He
no,
considers himself above and more powerful than anybody he meets. And of course that applies to his consorts as well.
yeah. And
Hmm.
at least the women I know who I let read it first before had no problem with that, loved it, actually found it compelling and
Yeah, when he
far
gets
more
each of his
interesting.
brides, it varies. He mixes it up the way he says it with each one of them, but it's
Yeah.
basically, mine to embrace, mine to maintain, mine to do with as I will. Um, and that's the way he views everything.
And that's
Hmm.
and what's great about the women is they want it that way. So it makes him have to fulfill that still. It doesn't just go to a one-way relay. Once they're demanding of that, he has
Hmm.
to do it.
Yeah, because
And
that's
now
that's one of
that's
the
great.
surprising things I found about writing the character is his relationship with the women in the brides. These are the first things he had ever created. He had
Yeah.
destroyed a whole lot of shit, but these were the first
Yeah.
things he'd ever created.
Yep.
And so he felt a certain responsibility to them, and not out of tenderness, out of his same egotism.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
did this; they will maintain.
Hmm.
They will be cared for. They will because I declared it
Yep.
so. You know.
No.
Yeah.
No. And just as he's a man of his time, they're women of their time.
Yeah.
And if he showed any weakness, you know, if he shows anything that they see isn't what how Matt described, they know that what Matt's description, they know that about him.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. They won't allow for anything less than that. And that makes them just as interesting. At the
Hmm.
same time, uh, the things that brought him to them, that made him select him out of all the women that he'd ever come across, it starts to diminish
Yeah.
because of the
Yeah.
nature
They
of it.
they they each have a certain something special that attracts
That
him.
that
And
was
then once he
wonderful.
turns them into a vampire, once he corrupts them, they kind of lose that little thing
Yeah,
that attracted
yeah,
him to them.
yeah,
The first
yeah.
one like really wants to be better than her station and wants to learn to read and such. Afterwards, she
Hmm.
just forgets all about that. The
Yeah.
the second one wants
Yeah.
to be more independent. She's kind of led a privileged life. She wants to be free of the yoke of man, and she kind of forgets that after she turns into
Yeah.
a vampire. And the third one wants to be free, and she's a storyteller, which really attracts him. But she loses the ability to tell stories
Yeah.
after she's turned, and she becomes voraciously hungry for blood.
And they are still enchanting and beautiful and scary and sexy all at the same
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
level, that part of it is enhanced, and you can see why he chose him.
One little detail that we never really explained, but is there, is that last one is the most kind of embarrassed by her state by being a
Yeah.
vampire. So she wears a veil to cover her mouth and her fangs
Yeah.
when she's not feeding.
Mm.
And in every panel where she's not feeding, she's wearing this veil. And
Yep.
again, we never really explain it, it's just there, you know.
But boy, does she like being a vampire when it's blood
Yeah.
taking time. Yeah.
When it's feeding time, that
Yeah,
veil comes
she's
off,
she's
baby.
right in there, man.
You have to do so much digging into these characters, right? Verbally and visually. And you were
Yep.
talking about Shakespeare there, like that problem that's at the heart of Dracula, which is he's basically living forever, but there's that constant frustration, desire to control, desire to maintain, but then distaste for certain parts of it at the same time. So uh, you both have to be so observant about the human condition as
Well,
you're working.
I thought Matt did a great job in, it sounds good to live forever, but biblically that's a curse.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That the worst thing you can do is you live forever and you see the world change and you don't. So what I found wonderful, and again, it affects the drawing, is it's like when that begins to happen, it starts even a great vampire lord that begins to wear, and it's not the thing that you think it's going to be because you're constricted by the very curse that lets you live forever.
Which is
And
what
that
leads him to London to
right,
seek new experiences and basically
wonderful,
a new life, you know.
wonderful. And so and a lot of people who are into modern vampire literature and stories and stuff don't see it that way. But the people who do, that's a curse, and you have to overcome that. He's only got human psychology. He doesn't have, he's not an immortal, so he's got to deal with that boredom and ennui of every day is like the last day. So London is a wonderful diversion.
He needs more things
Yeah.
to conquer.
Yes, it will never end.
But unfortunately, we are book three of four books, which means that you're ascending that tower, and I imagine you both have a lot in mind and a lot that you're storing up
Well,
for
that's our arrogance,
the
isn't it,
epic.
Matt? It's like, hey, we're gonna go on. We're gonna do one more and show you what we really now it's us. And
Yeah, and I
that's
keep
our
telling people four was what I had sketched out to begin with. In our very first phone conversation
Mhm.
about this, I gave Kelly the very, very preliminary outline of the four books, you know. Uh, but who knows? We get to the end of book four, if I have more good ideas come to me, and that
if
it's
at
got to
three
be good
o'clock
story ideas.
yeah,
There's got to be more story to be
Mm.
told, you know.
if at 3 o'clock in the morning I get an email saying, hey, this is what book five would be, I'm not surprised.
I'm here for it. I'm here
Yeah.
for it. I do hope the creating
But these
continues.
four are the epic. These four are the epic. Then whatever happens after that, that'll be its own thing. But this is and it may be such that Matt and I look at it and go, we can't top this, or I don't know.
Yeah, it might
Or
end there. We'll see.
yeah, yeah.
We just added a reward tier where now you can buy all three books as a bundle.
Mhm.
So we've had people asking that, can I still get books one and two because they didn't catch it the first time around, you know? And of course we work with Dark Horse Comics on this because a lot of people just don't pay attention to Kickstarter campaigns whatsoever. A lot do, and the number's growing. But
Mm.
for those that are more traditional buyers, after the hardcovers come out, and the Kickstarter campaign is the only place to get the hardcover editions. After those make their way to the backers, Dark Horse releases a trade paperback version via more traditional retail outlets, you know,
Yeah.
online and at your LCS. Um, uh, but yes, you can now purchase both print and digital versions as a bundle, all three.
Wonderful, wonderful, and you get it sooner than you get it on the direct market.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yeah.
Mm.
and it has a super, and this is a nice little benefit. It has a real collectability right now because you just don't see the hardcovers in the resale market. I never see them. I have a couple friends who run stores, and they are always looking, and they get back to me and say, we just don't see this. One did see one, and it was going for considerably more, and it went. And he says,
The
and that was the only one he ever saw.
the other cool thing with the this campaign, which a lot of people probably don't know, is that Kelly doesn't really sell his original art.
Yeah.
So anytime a piece of Kelly's comes on the market, it's very sought after and very hot ticket. So for this one, we are offering 10 original pieces, 8.5 by 11 pieces, that are a artistic collaboration between the two of us. So Kelly draws it and inks it, and then I color paint it. Um, we are offering 10 of these. There's only one left on the campaign. But for
Wow.
people, and needless to say, those are pretty pricey. That's a pricey reward tier. But for
Hmm.
those that
Yeah.
can't afford that, we are then also offering a portfolio of all 10 plates. So we're turning those original pieces into printed plates, and they will come in a sleeve, a portfolio sleeve, with a signed and numbered certificate of authenticity that's signed by both of us and numbered. You
So
can buy both of the other books individually
yeah,
as add-ons.
you can
Yeah.
buy them in
Yep.
individually.
Yep.
And just right now you can go through the Kickstarter and ask the fulfillment guy and he will take care of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, anywhere online that you'd like to mention that people can find you or in person or anything like that, I'll link the Kickstarter campaign, of course, but any other spaces that you want to share before we close?
Kel?
I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter. So or X or whatever they call it now. And so
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
pretty
really do Insta. I'm on Facebook and X, and I also have a website, which is
yeah.
mattwagnercomics.art.
Many thanks to you both. I am excited to see the pages and the book come together. I've enjoyed the first two volumes and looking forward to the next one and hopefully much more to come.
Yeah. You will.
At
You will
least
get
one more.
more. Yeah.
At least one
Yes.
more.
Yeah. I will say that these past three and a half years I've been doing this, have been as work intensive as when I did the monthly Batman.
God,
Um,
hard to believe that, isn't it? You just
it
said three
is.
and a half years there. It's like
Yes,
it just feels like we had the first
it
conversation,
is.
like I don't know, 2 months ago. You
I'll
know?
look, I had a good time doing monthly Batman, but that seemed like forever amount of time because I was just all this is blowing by. This just
Yeah.
there is it's just I don't feel it. My poor wife feels it and says, you know, when you're done with book four, you're taking my ass somewhere. Because all I'm doing is this. She says, I'm letting Matt know you're gonna take my ass somewhere. And I go, I will. But she's never seen me this happy. She's been with me 35, 36 years or whatever, through everything from like 1990 on. And she says, I've never seen you this happy. She goes,
Awesome.
you never ever complain. You just come down. Uh, you know, she says, even when you have to draw lots of buildings and horses, you're happy. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
That's the true
My wife,
test right there.
I'll get a package in either from eBay or Amazon, and I open up, and she's like, another Dracula book.
There can never be enough Dracula.
You got it, baby.
Yeah, there never.
Yeah, the research process continues, I'm sure.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah.
Matt's research was I tell him this and I believe it. It was like thesis level for getting his master's.
For book three particularly, because again,
Absolutely.
it's the events of the novel. The novel's written in a epistolary style, which means there's no omniscient narrator. Everything is letters or private journals, and as a result, they're all dated. So
Yeah.
everything that happens in the book has a month and a day assigned to it. So it's very specific, and I had to make everything fit in that. And to appease the many Dracula scholars around the world, of which some are lettered, many are amateur, uh, but I also had to make it be an intriguing story for people who have never read the book. So it was quite the challenge.
And I just had to get the hair colors correct on all the women and their breast size and the blood. And that was it. That was my research.
Kelly Jones architecture is lovely
Yes.
architecture. It is
Yes,
lovely architecture.
it was tough for me. Let me tell you, Matt had it easy.
Well, many thanks to you both. And the relationship, the friendship, and the collaboration is evident. And wishing you both very well on this campaign.
Thanks very
Thank you
much,
very much.
Jason. Thanks for having us again.
Thank you. Yeah, this has
Anytime,
been a
anytime.
pleasure.